Picture this, all right? It's 1982. You're a moose hunter, trekking totally alone down this isolated, overgrown logging road in the deep, dense woods of northern Ontario. Suddenly, the dead silence is broken by rocks being hurled from the trees. You hear this massive, terrifying thud, like a huge club just smashing into wood. And then, well, it steps right out of the shadows. The hunter later recounted the moment, saying it was big, 7 or 8 feet tall. Its legs were short, but its arms were long. They hung down to its legs. Its shoulders were wide. He even mentioned the sides of its neck went straight up. Now listen, this wasn't a bear. It wasn't human. It was something else entirely, just standing right there in the road, watching him.
That spine-chilling story, yeah, that's just one of literally thousands that have echoed through the deep, dark woods of North America for generations. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a journey, moving from those terrifying campfire tale myths straight into the cold, hard light of science. We are going to completely dissect the legend of Bigfoot. We'll separate the shadowy monsters from biological reality, look at the undeniable hoaxes, and even explore the genuinely fascinating science of human evolution that keeps this whole mystery alive.
Section 1. The Legend in the Shadows. So long before the catchy word Bigfoot was ever printed in a newspaper, stories of massive, wild people were already deeply, deeply woven into the folklore of indigenous communities. To really get a grip on this phenomenon, we gotta start right here, at the very beginning. The original word is Sasquatch. It comes from the Halkamilam language of the Coast Salish First Nation peoples out in southwestern British Columbia. Traditionally, this word referred to a bipedal giant, something much taller than a normal human, roaming those wet, misty rainforests of the coastal Pacific Northwest. And it wasn't just treated as some fictional monster. It was a recognized, formidable presence in the natural world. It commanded absolute fear and respect from anyone brave enough to enter those trees. And when we actually dig into both the historical and the modern sighting records, there is this totally terrifying consistency to how this creature is described. I mean, witnesses routinely describe an ape-like being covered in reddish-brown or auburn hair, usually about 5 to 7 inches long. They note incredibly broad shoulders. We're talking sometimes estimated at up to 4 feet across. And it has this hunched posture with literally no visible neck. It kind of reminds observers of a massive American football player in full pads. The face is consistently reported as monkey-like, with a backward-sloping forehead, a flattened nose, and a slit-like, lipless mouth. But honestly, the creepiest detail of all, when people actually spot it, it rarely attacks. Instead, it just stands there, completely immobile, totally expressionless, with its incredibly long arms just hanging by its sides, staring right at you from the dark. Just that image alone, yeah, that's enough to keep anyone out of the woods at night for sure.
Section 2. Footprints, films, and fakes.
Okay, so how did a regional ghost story basically turn into this massive global obsession? Well, the modern Bigfoot explosion really kicked off in the mid-20th century. Back in 1958, a bulldozer operator named Jerry Crew made a plaster cast of these enormous footprints he found at a construction site in Bluff Creek, California. The local paper, the Humboldt Times, ran a huge story about these mysterious tracks and, well, they officially coined the moniker Bigfoot. And boom, the fire was lit. Less than a decade later, in 1967, the infamous Patterson-Gimlin film was shot. You've probably seen it. It's that shaky 59-second clip that supposedly shows a female Bigfoot striding along a creek bed in Northern California, glancing right back at the camera. To this very day, it remains the absolute most debated piece of cryptid footage in history. But here is exactly where we hit our first massive plot twist. Remember those foundational 1958 Bluff Creek footprints we just talked about? The ones that kicked off the whole modern craze? Well, decades later, the family of a local logger named Ray Wallace came forward with a pretty stunning secret. Ray had actually created those exact footprints as an elaborate prank. He literally used large carved wooden feet. This simple, honestly kind of hilarious admission cast a huge, dark shadow over the entire field of Bigfoot research. It really proved just how easily a nationwide obsession could be born from a simple practical joke.
the really crucial takeaway here is that Ray's prank wasn't just an isolated incident. Over the years, an absolute parade of frauds, fakes, and guys in gorilla suits has basically marched straight through the annals of Bigfoot lore. As Dr. Jeff Meldrum, he's a professor of anatomy and anthropology over at Idaho State University, bluntly puts it, the hoaxes have poisoned the well. They've made it incredibly difficult to conduct legitimate research without being dismissed out of hand. And he hits the nail on the head. These fabrications basically created a climate of extreme scientific skepticism, and it ended up pushing any genuine biological inquiry right out to the absolute fringes of academia.
Section 3, the science of sightings. So, if the footprints were carved and the films are super debated, why on earth do thousands of sane, completely rational people still claim to see monsters lurking in the dark? Well, let's start with the literal ground we walk on. Bigfoot researchers constantly point to these massive tracks found in the mud as proof, but take a look at this comparison. What a frightened, adrenaline-filled observer assumes as a giant human-like footprint is very often just the biological reality of how a bear walks. See, when a bear moves, its hind paw frequently steps directly on top of, or slightly overlapping, the track left by its front paw. This double step creates a massive, elongated print that looks shockingly, and I mean amazingly, like a giant barefoot human. It's basically a perfect, terrifying illusion crafted by nature itself. And nature definitely has a lot of tricks up her sleeve to mess with our brains. We really have to consider the environment where these sightings actually happen. Usually, you are way out in a remote location, totally isolated, which just naturally skyrockets your baseline levels of fear and imagination. Then you add in low visibility, dense fog, or maybe it's just dusk, and boom, suddenly ordinary shapes morph into monstrous figures. Plus, unfamiliar, screeching animal sounds like a pack of coyotes or even a barred owl can so easily be misidentified as a giant primate's roar. In one incredibly fascinating instance investigated in Ohio, strange toe-like footprints in the mud were actually revealed to be caused by rainwater simply washing around ordinary clay pebbles. Our human brains are just hardwired to find patterns, especially faces and figures, when we're looking at chaotic environments. Let's look at another bizarre case from Ohio, which perfectly shows just how wildly our brains can completely misinterpret a scene when it's dark. A witness reported this absolutely terrifying white creature standing up on its hind legs, viciously attacking a bird feeder right in their yard. I mean, it sounds like a scene ripped straight out of a horror movie, right? But investigators actually went out there, recovered hairs from that exact bird feeder, put them under a microscope, and found the cold, hard scientific reality. It was just a white-tailed deer. Deer will actually occasionally stand up on their hind legs to reach food, but in the pitch black, totally out of context, the human mind instantly fills in those gaps with the most dramatic, spooky explanation available.
Section 4, the evolutionary bush.
Now, we have to ask, is it all just bears, deer, and overactive imaginations? Well, to keep our investigation fully balanced, we really need to introduce the scientific what if. And I'm not talking about theories from some random internet fan forum here. The Relict Hominoid Inquiry is a legitimate, peer-reviewed academic journal hosted by Idaho State University. This proves that actual, credentialed academics do explore these theories. Now, while they definitely aren't out running through the woods hunting for magical monsters, they are bringing much-needed scientific rigor to a topic that is usually entirely reserved for folklore. They're asking some genuinely profound questions about our own evolutionary past. The absolute core of this scientific inquiry relies on the concept of a relict hominoid. See, for a really long time, scientists believed in the single species hypothesis, basically the idea that only one human-like species could exist on Earth at any given time, just a straight, neat line of evolution. But modern paleoanthropology has completely proven that wrong. Our evolutionary tree wasn't a straight line at all. It was a thick, bushy, chaotic tree where multiple hominin species actually coexisted on the landscape simultaneously. So a relict hominoid would simply be a surviving branch of that wildly diverse evolutionary bush. And when we actually look at the fossil record, we see some incredible candidates that lived much, much closer to our modern era than we ever realized. We have Homo floresiensis, the diminutive hobbit of Indonesia, which may have survived until just 18,000 years ago. We've got the robust Denisovans roaming Siberia 30,000 years ago. We even have evidence of the late survival of Asian Homo erectus. But without a doubt, the most fascinating candidate for the Bigfoot legend is Gigantopithecus, the massive fifth great ape of Asia, which stood over 9 feet tall. Think about it. If gorilla-sized lemurs managed to survive in Madagascar until just 1,000 years ago, some scientists argue it is at least theoretically plausible that a small, highly isolated population of a giant ape could persist in the dense, unexplored, terrifyingly vast forests of the world. Section 5. Why we still believe. It is such an intoxicating theory, isn't it? The idea that we aren't completely alone on this big, bushy evolutionary tree. But if we confine ourselves strictly to what science demands as hard, undeniable evidence, the verdict, delivered by top primatologists like John Napier, is harsh but incredibly clear. There are no skulls, there are no postcranial bones, there are no captive animals, and absolutely no photographs or films of unquestionable authenticity. Hard, material, physical evidence of a giant, undocumented primate roaming North America simply cannot be found anywhere. Biologically speaking, Bigfoot does not exist.
And yet the sightings continue, don't they? The footprints are still cast in the mud. The terrifying stories are still told around dark campfires. Why? Well, because ultimately, the story of Bigfoot is really as much about us as it is about any flesh and blood creature. It is a direct reflection of our own deep human anxieties and desires. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and hey, keep your eyes wide open the next time you step into the shadows. Because the true mystery might not actually be a terrifying monster hiding out in the deep woods, but rather our own desperate, beautiful need to believe that the wilderness still holds secrets. Does Bigfoot simply allow us to imagine a world that hasn't been completely tamed? What do you think?